If this isn't live, is that what you're trying to tell me? If this isn't live, this isn't live. I'm on. It's 5 o'clock when I got on, chat. So, oh, you tried so hard. Tried so hard. This is not really live, but it is live. You tried hard, chat. You tried hard. I give you credit. You give you credit. You tried so hard, chat. Oh Lord and me, you guys done try hard. Brave little chat. Oh. Oh. Anyways, I love you guys. You guys tried. Anyways, hello everybody. Hello. Ah, it's been an interesting day. A very interesting day. A very busy day. Um. Um. Let me see here. What was I looking for? What did I miss? What was I looking for? I forgot what I was looking for now, but oh well. Oh well, we're just gonna keep moving on. And yeah, hello everybody. Yes, so the order came out this morning. Judge McAfee actually did it the way I didn't think he was gonna do it. I thought he was gonna release it and then head off to the fucking hills. Although I have a feeling he probably already he's not in the office today. So that would be a funny way of handling it, but um, Young, we'll get to this in a second. We're gonna go through it first because I think that's the important part we need to talk about. What does this actually mean? And it means some things. It means some things. Doesn't mean as much as we thought. Maybe kind of in a way. Am I gonna say this is not a cope stream? I mean, it is a little bit. At the end of the day, it is a bit of a cope stream. I'm not gonna lie about it. It is a bit of a cope stream. I mean, you'd have to bit of a cope stream, chat. There's no way around that. So we're gonna talk about this though. I'm gonna give people another minute or two to catch up. There's also some other news. Apparently, there are rumors that the mayor Tiffany Henyard, the crazy mayor out of the Chicago area, is has been arrested. We don't know if that's true yet though or not. Um, so we'll see. We will see. Um, we will see what happens with that. I don't know if it's been done for sure. Hold on here, guys. I'm trying to check this real quick. I have not found the answer yet. Give me 1 second. I'm seeing if I can verify. Let's see here. Nope, I still have not seen a confirmation. Um, let me see here. What is the? Yeah, where? Damn it. Yeah. Son of a bitch! It won't. Why is it not showing up? I tried googling it, and Google is fighting me hard right now. So. Oh, somebody just messaged me on Twitter. Let's see what this is saying. let's see. Sorry, guys. Trying to catch up here. Hello to everybody. I know tonight I will be on with on with on with Jeff Legal Vices as he's doing his St. Patrick's Day and kind of like fucking Friday all in one thing. If you guys didn't realize it, yes, Sunday will be St. Patrick's Day. So yeah, good stuff, huh? So, damn it. So, let's double check. Somebody said it's up now. Yes, Tiffany Henry is in federal custody. Oh, shit. Yeah, so she did. She got picked up. So, yeah, we'll get to that at some point coming up. So, sorry, guys, about the lag time there on this. Nate is covering it now. Noah's been arrested. Oh. Well, hold on. My audio's super quiet. Is that better, chat? There we go. So, Dalton, Illinois, yes. So, she's not been arrested. NYC shooter is not facing charges. Which NYC shooter? I'm not sure. So, curious to know. All right, guys. Sorry about that. The mic slipped out just a little bit. But anyways, let's get to who was first tonight. Bye, friends, with Clyde. Then F-I-I-R-S-T. Wow, oh, auto sniped it. Ah! Yeah, you couldn't build your tower. But that's a very authoritative start. So let's get to the order, guys. Let's start there. So Judge McAfee put this out. And this is the order on the motion to dismiss and to disqualify. So if you guys remember, it's two parts. There were two parts to this. Ashley Burkett, Mark Roman's attorney, they did a motion to disqualify and a motion to dismiss. So it was a two-part thing. I know we focused a lot on the first part, people covering this because, yes, if you got to step one, can we disqualify Fani? Well, then we could talk about what happens with part two. So, let's see here. Why is this not... Is that not going to refocus? I guess it only does it there. Okay, so... We have the people here that are listed. Remember, not everybody joined in this motion. This was not everybody. This is only some of the defendants did. And the main one here was Michael Roman. This was Ashley Burkett's attorney right here. So... Why is that yellow so bad? There we go. So it's a motion to dismiss and disqualify. So on January 8th, Defendant Roman filed a motion to dismiss the indictment and disqualify Fulton County's DA's office. The 8 co-defendants later joined and supplemented the motion, raising additional grounds for disqualification. Among those allegations, they contended that the district attorney obtained a personal stake in the prosecution's case by financially benefiting her romantic relationship with Special District Attorney, SADA Nathan Wade, whom she personally hired to lead the state's team. More specifically, Roman alleges the district attorney and Wade traveled together on multiple occasions, with Wade covering many of the associated expenses. Roman later supplemented his motion with receipts for some of these travels, which he did. He's going through kind of the basic beginnings of the case. State responded with an affidavit arguing the district attorney had not received financial benefit through a relationship with Wade and that their traveling expenses were roughly divided. So, as alleged, the claims present a possible financial conflict of interest for the district attorney. More importantly, the defense motions and the state's response create a conflict in the evidence that can only be resolved through an evidentiary hearing, and one that cannot simply be ignored without endangering a criminally accused's right constitutionally to procedural due process. After receiving 2.5 days of testimony, during which the defendants were provided an opportunity to subpoena and introduce whatever relevant materials they could muster, the court finds the defendants failed to meet their burden of proving that the district attorney acquired an actual conflict of interest in his case or a personal relationship and reoccurring travels for the lead prosecutor. The other alleged grounds for disqualification, including forensic misconduct, are also denied. However, the record established now highlights a significant appearance of impropriety that infects the current structure of the prosecution team. An appearance that must be removed through the state's selection of one of two options. The defendant's motions are granted in part, which means they're also denied in part. I don't know if you guys were on when we were on for laid back law, but yes, this was a complete splitting of the baby. This is like, King Solomon, because both women claimed the baby were theirs. And he said, fine, I shall cut it in half. And the one woman screamed, please don't kill the baby, please don't kill the baby. That's how King Solomon knew that was the rightful mother, because she was willing to give up her child rather than see it die. Well, Judge McAfee chickened out and actually cut the baby in half. So let's start the actual conflict of interest. Our highest courts consistently remind us prosecutors are held to a unique and exacting professional standard, which they generally don't uphold themselves to, in light of their personal responsibility and power. Every newly minted prosecutor should be instilled with the notion she seeks justice over convictions, and she may strike hard blows but never foul ones. And this is an entire case, U.S. v. Berger, or Berger v. United States. This is actually, if you guys want to read it, it's got a very big laying out of what a prosecutor should be doing, what their goals are. It's actually very critical. And if you, a lot of prosecutors like to have quotes from this made up, and if you'll see prosecutors, like, they'll have parts of this conduct, they'll have parts of this printed out as though it's like what the prosecutor should do. And it's so high and mighty and beautiful sounding, and they just really relish in it. And at times it's a bit cringe. So it's yeah, it's, I mean, and here is the actual lines from that quote, because if you guys want to see how high on their own farts they can get, this is from Berger v. United States. And this is the U.S. attorney. It says United States attorney, but they treat this for all people. So, this is for all prosecutors. The prosecutor is the representative not of an ordinary party to a controversy, but of a sovereignty whose obligation to govern impartially is as compelling as its obligation to govern at all, and whose interest, therefore, in a criminal prosecution is not that it shall win a case, but that justice shall be done. As such, he is in a peculiar and very definite sense the servant of the law. You'll see that kind of shit in their offices. The twofold aim of which is that the guilt shall not escape or innocence suffer. That's another one. I've seen prosecutors with that. I saw a prosecutor one time, he was good at wood carving, and he sat there and chiseled it out of a piece of mahogany. And he had that the guilt shall not escape, nor shall the innocent suffer. Almost though it was pulled out of the Bible, and I thought it was he had that hanging over the door of his office. On the inside, when you walked in, it was up on the ceiling, like up at the top. And I'm like, come on, man. Like, yeah. He may prosecute with earnest and vigor. Indeed, he should do so. But while he may strike hard blows, he is not at liberty to strike foul ones. Should talk to a lot of prosecutors nowadays. It is much his duty to refrain from improper methods calculated to produce a wrongful conviction, as it is to use every legitimate means to bring about a just one. So that's where this comes from. And that is a very, you could call it cringe, but I'll let you call it that. Dalton. So, where am I looking for here? Is this live? Yes, Dave, it's 100% live. We are live right now. Yeah, sorry, the rest is not real. I'm sorry, guys. I didn't mean to make you. Sorry, I'm just catching up here. Wow, a bunch of people showed up. Yes, it was not about the American. It was not about cheeseburgers hanging around. In that case, burger. So, Trenton got Twitch first. Well, congratulations. So, let's keep going, though. Why is this important? What do we actually need to look at here? Most importantly, prosecutors are expected to assume a role beyond a mere advocate for one side, must make decisions in the public interest, not their own personal and political interest. Yeah, and that's not, doesn't work that way. Recognizing these are not empty slogans or toothless admonitions without practical effect, Georgia courts have not hesitated to step in and use their inherent authority to disqualify a state prosecutor when required, especially when that prosecutor labors under an actual conflict of interest. So, yes, well, we're going to see some, as we've already read, apparently there was some hesitation here, Judge McAfee. Then he ends with a couple of big cites here that the power to remove is well within the realm of a court. But let's keep moving on here. Disqualification of a prosecutor due to a conflict of interest is thus not a creature of statute, so much as it is a judicial remedy recognized by our appellate courts since their formation, generally on grounds of public policy. The administration of law should be free from all temptation and suspicion so far as human agency is capable of accomplishing that objective. And that's true. It should be. It should be. And what reality is and what reality should be are not always the same. They talk about, things against public policy for solicitors to represent clients. Disqualifying a solicitor on the grounds of public policy. And a solicitor would have been a prosecutor for a local area. Propriety demands that a solicitor cannot prosecute a case in which he was personally connected. Good morals and justice prevent side switching. Now, notice those are where generally you're having those issues. You've represented the person before, it's side switching. And this is something I think when you look at this, what's the problem? If you would have told me this was happening a year and a half ago, I'd have laughed at you. If you would have told me if you'd have put this in an ethics exam or professional responsibility course in a law school, and you put this down as the final, the students are probably going to laugh at you. Because they'd say, this is so stupid, nobody would do this. This is way too obvious. Yet it happened. And that's part of the problem here. And that's why, we don't have any case law on it. It's like, nobody ever thought this was going to happen. This is so insane, it defies logic. It boggles the mind that this happened. I'm still astounded that Fannie and Wade did all this. I truly am. I am blown away. They do talk about, and this is the thing the state keeps bringing up, the administration of law, and especially that of the criminal law, should be like Caesar's wife. To be above suspicion and free from all temptation, bias, and prejudice. They should be untouchable. You shouldn't have to worry about this. So the Georgia Supreme Court says there's two types. They've denoted conflicts of interest and forensic misconduct as the grounds for disqualification. A conflict interest includes acquiring a personal interest in the stake of conviction that the defendant's facing. In such circumstances, no showing of prejudice by a defendant is required. Yeah, and that's fair enough. This is so because the prosecutor's duty to the public creates an additional public interest that must remain unconflicted in every criminal case, as it should be. A conflict of interest assessment is a fact-driven. It's case by case. In this case, Wade's manner of payment is not actionable on its own. It's not. Even though giving no big contracts to your boyfriend, Yeah, that's not actionable. Whenever a private attorney like Wade is paid by the billable hour, a motive exists to extend or prolong the assignment. This, however, is a tension that the legal profession has long accepted. It is also the type of speculative violation that our courts have regularly denied as insufficient for disqualification of absent of some other conduct. Wrongdoing can't be imputed based on marital status alone. Thus, his oath of office, in combination with the supervision, theoretically, provided by a neutral and detached DA, should generally be sufficient to dispel the appearance of that improper incentive. Nor would a romantic relationship between prosecutors standing alone typically implicate disqualification, assuming neither prosecutor had the ability to pay the other as long as the relationship persisted. And that's a big deal. Fani can keep paying Wade as long as they're in a relationship. That's a problem, assuming they had the ability to keep paying each other, because let's say they broke up. What happens? What would happen? Fani comes home and Wade's got a new girl. Let's say it's like Michelle Troconis. They're doing the deed, and Fani comes home and already Nathan's moved on. Is she going to fire him? Is she going to stop paying him? Let's say she does. Could she do that? I think she could, probably. What do you think happens in this case? It just goes into a tailspin. There are massive problems in this case. But in combination, as is alleged here by the defendants, a prima facie argument arises of financial enrichment and improper motivations, which inevitably and unsurprisingly invites emotions such as this. And that's his point. This is all brought on by Fani. If she hadn't done this, nobody would have raised an eyebrow. As to the financial allegations, the court makes the following factual findings. On November 1st, Fani hired Wade to serve as the special counsel, a special prosecutor on this case. She considered hiring a former governor who did want to touch it. The contract allowed a $250 hourly rate, a relatively low amount by Metro attorney standards with Wade's years of service. That's not bad for here in Cleveland. And think $250 an hour rate, but he's able to bill about $250,000 a year. So yeah, that's pretty good for attorneys in the Atlanta area. That's pretty good for attorneys pretty much anywhere in America. It contained a ceiling on the maximum number of hours permitted. Under the terms of the first contract, Wade couldn't work more than 60 hours a month. No evidence introduced that Wade ever received permission to exceed those caps. His contract was renewed twice, once in 22 and then once in 2023. Between October 22 and May of 23, Wade and Willis traveled together on 4 occasions that resulted in documentable expenses. The first trip was to Miami and Aruba and a cruise. Wade initially covered expenses for the October trip, totaling $5,200. In December, the two flew to Miami for another cruise, which the DA paid $1,300 for plane tickets, while Wade purchased a passage for the cruise, along with the other expenses totaling $3,600. In March, they traveled to Belize, where Wade covered the resort expenses for about $3,000. And then in May 23, they went to Napa Valley. In addition, they just took a number of day-long trips to Tennessee, Alabama, South Carolina, North Carolina, and other parts of Georgia. They also admitted to dining out on multiple occasions and taking turns covering the bill. With seemingly full, and here's where he's going to start making excuses. With seemingly full access to Wade's primary credit card statements, the defendants did not produce relevant evidence of any further documentable expenses or gifts. Aside from just that they were done, oh no, there's no proof they're gifts. Well, it's funny because he immediately goes on to say, in total, the defendants point to an aggregate amount documented benefit of at most approximately $12,000 to $15,000, because that can't be a benefit. And notice, we don't have everything, so we have to assume, but remember, Wade and Willis lied on the stand, so there might be more out there. I don't know. Wade and Willis testified the expenditures were not meant as gifts and not designed to benefit her. Both testified that the Willis regularly reimbursed Wade in cash, and if not reimbursed, she would cover a comparable related expense. So, for example, she said she paid Wade in cash for the Aruba trip, which was around $2,000, and that she gave him money for both cruises. Further, she claimed that she reimbursed Wade for the entirety of the Belize trip, and she paid for the Napa Valley excursions. Finally, while Wade could have bought meals in 2020, which totaled more than $100, she would regularly pay cash for his meals. Such a reimbursement practice may be unusual, and the lack of any documentary corroboration understandably concerning. Yeah, that's a big fucking deal. Try that in a money laundering case. Well, where did it all go? Well, I didn't keep receipts. Why? Well, why not? They're going to think you're a bad guy. You're toast. Any of these bank cases or structurings or money launderings, any tax evasions, drug dealers, why do you have all this cash? Well, I pay in cash for things. And guess what down the hallway they do with that when you say you pay in cash? They treat you like a criminal. Fani's office will do that, I guarantee you. So, yet the testimony withstood direct contradiction. Did it really? Was corroborated by other evidence, for example, her payment of airfare for two on the 2022 trip. It was not so incredible as to be inherently unbelievable. Really? Just making excuses here, Scott. So, however, as the DA herself acknowledged, no ledger exists other than a best guesstimate. There's no way to be certain the expenses were evenly split. That's not the issue here. And the district attorney may have received a net benefit of several $100. Despite this, after considering all the surrounding circumstances, the court finds the evidence did not establish the district attorney's receipt of a material financial benefit as a result of her decision to hire engage in a romantic relationship with Wade. Simply put, the defendants have not presented evidence indicating that the expenses were not roughly divided, or the DA was currently remains greatly and pecuniarily interested. So, in addition, and much more important, the court finds that based on the DA's testimony, Fani's testimony, that the evidence demonstrated the financial gain flowing from her to Wade was not a motivating factor on the part of Fani to indict and prosecute this case. I'm sure she didn't realize that till afterwards. I could basically just let this guy bill for a gajillion frickin' dollars. And that's what she did. I mean, she caught the car by the bumper. Now she doesn't know what to do with it. I mean, this isn't that hard. And he says, Judd goes on further. While a general motive for more income can never be disregarded entirely, Willis was not financially destitute throughout this time or in any great need. As she testified, her salary exceeds $200K per year without any indication of excessive expenses or debts. Similarly, the court finds the defendants have failed to demonstrate that the Willis' conduct has impacted or influenced the case to the defendant's detriment. So, while prejudice is not a required element for disqualification, it is relevant to considerations of due process and the defendant's requested remedy of complete dismissal. So, that is what we have there. The defendants argue that the financial arrangement created an incentive to prolong the case, but in fact, there is no indication Willis is interested in delaying anything. Well, now she probably will have an interest in it. Indeed, the record is quite to the contrary. Before the relationship came to light, the state requested the trial begin less than 6 months after the indictment. Well, that's interesting. Soon after, the state opposed severance of the objecting defendants who did not demand their right to a statutory trial. The state argued it only wanted to try the case once, assuming such trial would have been affirmed after any post-conviction appeals. The state amended its proposed timeline in November 2023 to request the trial continuance commence less than 1 year after return of the indictment. Even before the indictment, the district attorney approved a grand jury presentment that included fewer defendants than the special purpose grand jury recommended. In sum, the district attorney has not in any way acted in confidence with the theory she arranged a financial scheme to enrich herself or endear herself to Wade by extending the duration of this prosecution or engaging in excessive litigation. I don't know how many people buy that. Seems like a lot of bull to me. Personally, I think it's bull. I think it's obnoxious and it's hogwash. This is just ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. So without sufficient evidence, the district attorney acquired a personal stake. The defendant's claims of an actual conflict must be denied. This finding is no means an indication that the court condones this tremendous lapse in judgment. So a tremendous lapse in judgment or the unprofessional manner of the district attorney, and that's Fani's testimony during the relevant evidentiary hearing. Like, yeah. She should have testified when she had the chance. But, like, they could have probably worked that out a little better. And then, yeah, this was not done well by Fani. This lapse of judgment is calling it. I don't know what else you could call it. Hogwash is an underutilized term. Yeah, well. So. She's trying real hard. But we'll see. It's okay at the end of the day here. And it's don't get doom pilled, but we'll get there. Rather, it's the underside's opinion that Georgia law does not permit the finding of an actual conflict for simply making bad choices, even repeatedly, and it's a trial court's duty to confine itself to the relevant issues and applicable law brought before it. I think that's fair. He's like, look, you guys gave me a prompt, I answered the question, and I still think, I don't have a problem with this. Now, this next part here, I have a big problem with. This next part here, I have a big, big problem with. And I'm going to put this part in... This part needs to go in red. Other forms of sources, such as the Georgia Assembly, the Georgia State Ethics Commission, the State Bar of Georgia, and the Fulton County Board of Commissioners, or the voters of Fulton County, may offer feedback on any unanswered questions that linger. But these are not issues determinative to the defendant's motion alleging an actual conflict. Notice he's saying all that. But he's saying, you know what? Hey, people. Hey, populace. It's your job to, govern your elected officials. So you guys better take care. He's gonna look at the normies and say, "You better take care of it, normies." Which is not fair. All these other groups could do something, but you could do something too. He could do something and he's not doing it. So, it's... it's just... It's just absolutely nonsense. Oh, everybody else could take care of it. But look, I think they lied, but hey, I'm not, I guess I just got... I'm just simple judge down here, folks. Like, you could govern them and regulate them, but you won't. like I said last night, I think he was going to chicken out. And, I was hoping against hope, but he had a choke. And he as he said in his interview, he's like, I hope my kids will ask me about it one day and I can tell them my dad did the right thing. And it's like, but did he? Did your dad do the right thing? I don't think he did. And as I stated to guys on Leadback News, all those that dude is running against him is not going to stop. Like, he halfway did it. He halfway ruled against the Kingmaker. Well, guess what? The Kingmaker's still going to cut your head off. So, enjoy your next couple of months in that office because that's all you're getting. And all you had to do was be a company man. You could have done it the right way, but instead you did it like a weird way, Scott. Like, it just, bro, it doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. But let's keep going. So, finding insufficient evidence of an actual conflict does not end the inquiry. Our appellate courts endorsed the application of an appearance of impropriety, and that was a standard he kept on harping on, appearance of impropriety, appearance of impropriety. Standard without even explicit findings of an actual conflict. So, they talk about a couple cases here. Certainly a conflict of interest or the appearance of impropriety. Maybe the grounds for disqualification of a prosecutor. Physical precedent only. A district attorney may not be compensated by means of a fee agreement with guarantees that at least the appearance of a conflict of interest. It happens. But once again, this is... This is such a weird one because it's not even their it's not the relationship with the victim. It's not a relationship with another prosecutor. It's not all these things these other cases have. And that's, I think, part of the problem here for McAfee. But that's where, as a judge, you have to tread this uncharted water. And he didn't want to do it. He didn't want to do it. So, what do we know? He talked about the cases cited here. That result in disqualification did not hold that an actual conflict is a necessary prerequisite. Prerequisite. The state nevertheless argues the facts presented as much, and while they may be so in some instances, the opinions do not make that finding. And this court cannot ignore the explicit language of the Georgia Supreme Court and multiple opinions from Georgia Court of Appeals. Further, while Davenport is the first instance this court can find where the exact phrase appearance of impropriety is used to assess the disqualification of a state prosecutor, the reference to Caesar's wife, bringing beyond reproach, was, very, very later on. And the admonition against all temptation and suspicion demonstrates the principle is long endorsed in Georgia law. While formally undefined in Georgia precedent, an appearance of impropriety is generally considered conduct or status that would lead a reasonable person to think the actor is behaving or will be inclined to behave inappropriately or wrongfully. Yeah, we see a lot of that there, huh? Zero Fox says, do I have a color-coded she's random highlights? I kind of just random, I generally like using the color yellow. The problem is, if, let's say you're highlighting an entire page, and it just turns all to yellow, why even bother highlighting it? Instead, what I do, when I have, a real document, I'm big on, a couple different colors. Now, I don't use the colors for any specific reason. It's just multiple colors break things up for me. Because if I just see yellow, or green all the way from top to bottom, my eyes glaze over. Because it's well, it's why bother? Oh, God, it's all mess. So I don't do that. That's something I picked up in law school. So I don't generally do that. So borrowing from federal judicial recusal standards, which there are very well laid out ones and very adhered to ones, A reasonable person is not an uninformed member of the public with only a passing knowledge of the facts at hand. So they're saying that a reasonable person is going to have some knowledge of the case. This must be the standard, so as otherwise a case, in this case a casual, uninformed, or misinformed observer, might believe the district attorney must recuse herself merely because her father shares a last name with the co-defendant. And that's true. That's not necessarily a problem, but you want to clear it out if you can avoid it. Nor is a reasonable person hypersensitive or unduly suspicious like Turtle Boy, without an understanding of the relevant legal standards of judicial practice. Just always thinking there's a conspiracy. You can't be on that side either, saying, oh, it's good, don't worry about it. To thinking, oh, don't, oh my God, they're everywhere. The appearance standard recognizes that even if no actual conflict exists, a perceived conflict in the reasonable eyes of the public threatens confidence in the legal system itself. It very much does. When this danger goes uncorrected, it undermines the legitimacy and moral force of our already weakest branch of government. At the end of the day, it's... What was I looking for here? Hold on, I wanted to switch something real quick, guys. Dang it. So I clicked on the wrong thing here. So, but yes, acknowledging the judicial branch is the weakest branch of government. Yeah, because let the Supreme Court enforce their order. Well, they need police to do that. So there's also saying... It's a good point. The judge's judgment will be only obeyed so long as the public respects it. Yes. And the moment they don't respect it, you've got a lot of problems. A lot of big problems. And they're not the problems that just go away on their own. Sorry about that, guys. Sorry. Okay, so I wanted to get to this real quick. Steven with 20 memberships. Holy cow. Thank you very much. I mean, obviously, whoever's getting one of those, I know is going to be thrilled. So thank you, guys. If you get one of those, please tell them thank you. That's giving away one membership. One membership, 100, 200, 300, 400, 10, 20, everything in between. Those are always, I always appreciate it. I know I appreciate it, and I know everyone else does as well. Hold on, guys. Actually, there's another call coming in. All right, chat. Sorry, that was a bit of an emergency call. I apologize. I had to take care of it. That was actually serious enough. That was somebody calling with a very concerned issue. Now, sorry, getting back to these. Steven, thank you so much for the memberships. Whoever gets one, I know is going to be very appreciative. But yes, thank you. Ashley with 10 memberships. Thank you, you guys. Holy cow! Like gift the spirit of the season in honor of St. Patrick. We're just giving away memberships. Thank you guys both very, very much. Ashley again for 5 more. Thank you, Ashley. You guys are madmen out there. C-Nut Arbuckle for $5 says, "Holy shitballs, Fani and crew are gonna need some serious juice after losing it all like this." We'll get to why I don't necessarily think that's. I understand what you guys are thinking, but I don't see it the same way. Unhung Hero for $2 says, "I'm gonna come." Well, don't come. Don't come. And then also, McAfee is a bitch. Well, kind of agree there. Stephen Cooper for 10 more memberships. Thank you, Stephen. Holy cow, you guys are... Thank you. That's very... super, super freaking generous. You know, doing... Like, and it sounds hokey when I say this, but you guys out here, like, all the stuff you guys do, the generosity, people, it's still nice to see. And just the generosity you guys have, but also the way you guys treat each other. You know, the way you guys don't treat each other like turds. It's, you know, it's inspiring because it's like you go out and every day and you see in the world and you're dealing with people and you're like, wow, people are crap. And you guys kind of come back around and, you know, kind of take care of each other. You know, it's almost like, it's like Vin Diesel said, you know, we're family. Or like ICP says, family. Just want you guys to think about that. It's like I don't even read chat. I try. So. All right, guys. So where... Flex is only 5 prepaid minutes left on the prison wallet iPhone. No, this is actually a very nice lady. She's trying. We're trying to take care of some things for her. She's actually a very, very nice woman. Trying to help her out. Might be able to next week. I guess, and then this footnote here, guys. You know, its appearance standard has been applied regularly to judges. And I mentioned this before. Judges will routinely say, hey, look, this looks bad. What do you think? If say the word, I'll bail. Because I've had a case like that. Say the word, I'm out. And we both are like, okay, well, let's go talk to our clients. And you go back out and talk. And like, judge, you know, our client's cool with it. We all go on the record with it. And everybody's fine. And I've still had times where the judge is like, okay, cool. But I still had ones where the judge says, you know what? Even though I brought everybody in thinking about it, I'm going to recuse myself. I feel more comfortable that way. It happens all the time. Judges generally are very, very cautious of that and are very sensitive to that issue. And there's times where I've had cases, for example, like like in a children's service case, where you get appointed to represent a mom and dad whose kids were taken away from them by the county, and there's trying to get it back at some point. Eventually, if you do them long enough in a county or in a specific area, you start running into the same family names, and family names will, there's eventually you're going to run into another Smith, or you're going to run into somebody who's like a family member, and now there's like the mapping out the family branches. Now you're on an opposing side of somebody you already represented, or you're currently representing in a case that's winding down, and now you're like, judge, is this a conflict of interest? How does this work? How does that work? So judges are generally very cognizant of the conflict of interest issue. And this is actually a pretty impressive thing here. He's really harping on this. The test for the appearance is whether or not reasonable minds would have the perception the judge's ability to carry out his responsibilities is impaired. This applies both to judges' professional and personal conduct, and it is. The neutrality of a judge is necessarily higher that than a prosecutor, but a prosecutor should have neutrality. In contrast, only an attorney's professional behavior is subject to scrutiny. That's fair. It should be. Because obviously we're personal, but we also are advocates for our parties, so we're going to have that bias. And nor is a private attorney held to the strict nonpartisan standards of a judge. But he's trying to say, so to say that the appearance standard inappropriately holds prosecutors to the same ethical standards of judges is inaccurate. Although the distinction is less apparent here as the conduct at issue involves an intermingling of professional and private with the district attorney. And thus it is sometimes an attorney guiltless in the actual sense, nevertheless has to leave for the sake of public confidence. That happens sometimes. The court can find and indeed must consider the appearance of impropriety as a basis for a state prosecutor's disqualification, especially in recognition of the role they play in the criminal justice system. They point out that, the remedy, though, can vary with appearance of impropriety. Unlike an actual conflict, which you have to deal with, the finding of an appearance does not automatically demand disqualification. They talk about it. It's a spectrum. There's using a civil case, a continuum. One of the scale is disqualification. Okay. Somewhere in the middle is the appearance of impropriety based on the conduct of the attorney. But there's things you can do in the meantime. There's a lot of stuff you can do there. There's all kinds of issues. And finally, there's one where it's not on conduct, but on status. So, for example, if you have the same last name as the judge, is that automatically a conflict of interest? Well, it appears to be one. So if I jumped in, if the prosecutor was named McAfee, and there was Judge McAfee, yes, on its face, you'd look at that and say, there's conflict of interest. But they're allowed to explain, hey, look, that McAfee and this McAfee, no relation at all. I mean, heck, my name, Martin. When I was a prosecutor, I said, just so we understand, I'm not related to that person. There were times where if I have the last name as a juror, we're going through things, juror 28, I noticed your last name. You and I have the same last name because I introduce myself. You don't do the jurors by their names, typically. But you'll say, hello, everybody, my name's Sean Martin. I'm representing the defendant. Here's my client. But you'd say, hey, juror 12, hey, you and I have the same last name, it appears. Would you say that's fair? I'd say, remember, my last name is Martin. And he'd be like, oh, yeah, I guess it is. I'd say, do you know who I am? No. Are you from this area? He'd be like, oh, yeah. Do you have any relatives living in, where do your relatives live? And he'd probably say, like, oh, we've lived in Ohio all our lives. Well, my family's never, I'm the first, my parents are not from Ohio. None of my family's from Ohio. So there's ways you go through that. Or did you live on this side of the state or that side of the state? Okay, cool. We're different people. No conflicts of interest there. And you could dispel them. The disqualification, and they go further, though, the disqualification should rarely occur where there's no danger that the actual trial of the case will be tainted. So if it's not really going to get tainted, we really shouldn't worry about it. Obviously here, though, it's very different. This is a very different situation. Very different situation. But that said, though, they point out that where there is no claim the trial will be tainted, the appearance of impropriety is too slender a reed on which to rest disqualification, saying that's not the strongest of reasons. The Court of Appeals, they talk about, it noted that appearance can be cured through the screening of the affected prosecutor from participation or discussion of the case. And that's where you talk about like a Chinese wall in law firms. They're isolated. They can't talk about it with anybody anymore. They can't look at it. They can't help make copies, nothing. Don't even look at the file sitting on the desk. And it's wrapped up in its big brown, don't touch it. Don't even look in that person's office when you walk by. That's what a Chinese wall is. Generally, it's bullshit. But, something lawyers have been able to construct that fallacy over the decades. So, The affected prosecutor is awesome. How did that prosecutor feel? So, build a China wall. Yes, build the wall 10 feet taller. Yes, it's a shitty wall. The shitty walk. Guys, we're going to get through this real quick, and we'll finish up this part, and we'll talk about what's going to happen. Nor would the finding of an appearance of impropriety on the part of district attorney herself in contrast to an actual conflict necessarily result in the disqualification of the entire DA's office. The district attorney in a case called McLaughlin was absolutely disqualified due to personal interest in the prosecution. As a result, the assistant district attorneys appointed by her lacked any authority to proceed. Because remember, ultimately, she's in control of them. They do what she says, and if they can't, how do they handle things if you don't have they don't have their boss? I mean, that's literally kind of like one of those sovereign citizen arguments. There is no captain for the ship. It's a ship without a captain. I hate to use that, but that's pretty much a very good analogy here. There's no one in command. If there's no one in command, well, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. When the appearance of a conflict exists, only the affected prosecutor, but the elected or appointed, is affected. But that becomes an issue if it's the elected one. If it's one of the hired hands, one of the assistant ones, yeah, you can get rid of them pretty quick. With these principles in mind, the court finds the record made established that the district attorney's prosecution is encumbered by the appearance of impropriety. It's not by mere status alone, but becomes a specific conduct and impacts more than a mere nebulous public interest. Even if the romantic relationship began after Wade started his contract, the district attorney chose to continue supervising and paying him while maintaining the relationship. She further allowed the regular and loose exchange of money between them without any exact verifiable measure of reconciliation. Even if they had all of that, I still would argue that's problematic. Because at that point, they realize that if they did everything by the book, they're acknowledging there's a conflict of interest. So it's the fact she kept doing this and didn't even stop. She didn't care. This lack of a confirmed financial split creates the possibility and appearance that the district attorney benefited, although, be it not materially, from a contract whose award lay solely within her purview and policing. And that's the big issue. She's in charge. It's her decision how he gets paid. Most importantly, were the case allowed to proceed through unchanged, the prima facie concerns raised by the defendants would persist, as they rightly should. As Fani said, her relationship with Wade has only cemented after these motions and is stronger than ever. So now they're even tighter. Now they're like a dolphin's butt, watertight. Wade's patently unpersuasive explanation for the inaccurate interrogatories he submitted, that means his saying, I think he lied, and interrogatories are under oath. So Wade committed perjury, and then he committed perjury in front of McAfee, and his pending divorce indicate a willingness on his part to wrongly conceal his relationship with the district attorney, which also would likely imply he's willing to hide things, mainly like evidence. Hello, Richard Allen. As the case moves forward, reasonable members of the public can easily be left to wonder whether the financial exchanges have continued, resulting in some form of benefit. Yeah, they'll be more secretive. They'll be better at it. They'll hide it better. He says, put differently, an outsider could think the district attorney is not exercising her independent professional judgment totally free of any influence. As long as Wade remains on this case, this unnecessary perception will persist. Very true. The testimony, including that of Wade and Willis, did not put these concerns to rest. During argument, the defendant's focus largely pivoted from the financial concerns to disproving the testimony of Fani saying that, namely, her romantic relationship actually predated the November hiring. On that front, the court makes a few brief observations. Saying, first, it's unable to place any stock in the testimony of Terrence Bradley. Well, no, this is where McAfee's now punting. His inconsistencies, demeanor, and non-responsive answers left far too brittle a foundation upon which to build any conclusions. While prior inconsistent statements can be considered substantive evidence under Georgia law, Bradley's impeachment by text message did not establish a basis for which he claimed such sweeping knowledge of Wade's personal affairs. And that's why, for that reason, the court finds it unnecessary to reopen the evidence and consider the testimony of Cindy Yeager, the chief deputy of Cobb County who heard them on the phone, or Manny Aurora as proffered by the defendants Schaefer and Latham, respectively. This is a bit of a snow job here, guys. This is what a snow job looks like. This is a bit of a cover-up. He's giving them an out. So in addition to the testimony of Robin Yurdy, who had the townhouse that Fani was using, raised doubts about the state's assertions that ultimately lacked context and detail. Even after considering the proffered cell phone evidence from Trump, along with the entirety of the other evidence, neither side was able to conclusively establish by a preponderance of evidence when the relationship evolved into a romantic one. And that's bullshit. What were they hanging out at 3 o'clock in the morning doing at Fani's house? With the geolocated stuff that's used in murder cases all the time. Your cell phone data, where is it pinging? What are you doing? Is used all the time to establish your whereabouts in a murder, robberies, rapes, anything. Like, I'm going to fucking laugh if they use some of the cell phone data later in Trump's case. That'll be fucking hilarious. But this is him trying to say, oh, it wasn't enough for me. Bro. McAfee trying to punt. He does say, though, however, an odor of mendacity remains. And I brought this up on Nate, on Eric Hunley's stream. That's him saying this reeks to high fucking heaven. The court's not an obligation to ferret out every instance of potential dishonesty from each witness or defendant ever presented in open court. That's true. It's not your job. You literally have two of the fucking prosecutors, though, took the stand. Two of the prosecutors on the case. The district attorney and her special assistant district attorney. That's it. Two people. You can do their job of ferreting it out that they fucking lied. You could hold them in contempt if you really wanted to, McAfee, if you had the brass balls. But you don't. You punt. Such an expectation would mean the end to the efficient disposition of civil and criminal proceedings. You had an evidentiary hearing and a witness was lying and you chose not to do anything about it. Pussy. Yet reasonable questions about whether the district attorney and her hand-selected lead district attorney testified untruthfully about the timing of their relationship further underpin the appearance. Yes, reasonable questions about whether they testified truthfully lead to an appearance of impropriety. Notice, he's trying to say, y'all are lying and I'm not doing nothing about it. You guys can handle it. So ultimately, dismissal of the indictment is not the appropriate remedy to adequately dissipate the financial cloud of impropriety and potential untruthfulness. Notice, he has to say that, because if he comes out and says, I think they're lying, he has to do something about it. Notice how he couches the words. And I hate to say it, I'll say this. This is what we lawyers do. We are good at making things fit what we need. We are wordsmiths. Saying it's a potential untruth. Well, maybe she's lying. Oh, I don't know for sure, by golly. Look what you can do with this. Look what you can do. Look what you can do. So, Mega Monster, hold on here, guys. I'm going to get to that real quick. We're finishing up this last bit here, okay? Let me get to the end real quick here. Then we can cover the last bit of the paragraph, okay? So, sorry, give me 1 second. I wanted to get through this first. The dismissal is an extreme sanction for unlawful governmental conduct. Yeah, and guess what? If you do this, the government's now put on notice, I'm not putting up with your bullshit. The people aren't putting up with your bullshit. You could do that, Judge. You could set the stage. You could be that change you want to be. You talked about being that change in the system. Be the change you want to be. But you didn't. Soul Calibur, you fired it up and it said, "Welcome back to the stage of history." And once again, what do we see? Scott McAfee, you're up. And he says, my tummy hurts. I don't want to go out there. And he sat back down. The stage of history has moved on. There has not been a showing that the defendant's due process rights have been violated or that the issues involve prejudice to defendants in any way. Nor is disqualification of a constitutional officer necessary when a less drastic and sufficiently remedial option is available. Are these really options, though? The court therefore concludes this case cannot proceed until the state selects one of two options. Fani can step aside, along with her whole office, and refer this to the prosecuting attorney's counsel for assignment, which nobody's going to take it. Nobody's going to pick it up. Or Wade can withdraw, allowing Fani and the defendants to move forward. So there's a bit more here. We're going to get to that in a second. I'll cover that. So what's this mean? Well, there's two options. Fani can quit and her office is out, or Wade's gone and Fani and the office get to keep going. Well, I mean, it's pretty obvious answer, guys. Nate Wade, well, he fell on his sword. So this is from the Wade & Campbell firm, and via hand delivery. Dear District Attorney Willis, the furtherance of the rule of law and democracy is and has always been the North Star of our combined efforts in the prosecution of those who are alleged to have attempted to overthrow the results of Georgia's 2020 presidential election. Our team is dedicated to ensuring a Fulton County jury in a Fulton County courtroom renders a true and just verdict in this case. As directed by the order today in State of Georgia v. Donald John Trump et al. As directed by the order, no, the order's not directing you to do anything. The order's giving you guys a choice to make a decision. The order didn't order you to do anything yet. I hereby offer my resignation immediately as special prosecutor for the Fulton County District Attorney's Office. Although the court found the defendants failed to meet their burden of proving that the DA required an actual conflict of interest, I am offering my resignation in the interest of democracy, in dedication to the American people, and to move this case forward as quickly as possible. I am proud of the work our team has accomplished in investigating, indicting, and litigating this case, seeking justice for the people of Georgia and the United States, and being part of the effort to ensure the rule of law and democracy are preserved has been the honor of a lifetime. I'm sure you got paid like it was the honor of a lifetime, dude. What was that, about 250 G's a year? You ain't eating SpaghettiOs there, Holmes. I mean, let's be real here. Let's be real, man. And actually, this is a better image of it. Let's be real, Holmes. I'm sure it's been an honor. I'm sure the case and the team will be in good hands moving forward, and justice will be served. Justice will be served. What about you, I asked? Justice going to serve you too? You, the team on this case, and the entire office have my prayers for your safety and your success in the pursuit of justice. Respectfully, Nate J. Wade. So, yeah, he fell on the sword, which is not really a shocker. But what does this leave now? So, he's out. And Fani's accepted the resignation. So, what can he do? Well, what are the options left? Well, we got a couple options. The first one is Trump and the team can appeal this. Because really, at the end of the day, what have they accomplished? Fani's still here. Fani suffered no consequence. Yeah, sure, the judge said she's a lying piece of shit. But is she being punished? Is she being held in contempt? Is she going to have to go to jail? Is she going to the bar? No, nothing's happening. Just like Aldo Rain says, I've been chewed out before. I'll survive. And Fani has survived. Now, she is mortally wounded in the eyes of the nation. Now, in Fulton County, I bet she wins hands down still. Judge McAfee, this doesn't help him. He's a pussy. You know, the man had a chance to stand tall, and he did not. He did not. As J-Rock says, who is down there, Scott McAfee is a bitch. I lost any respect I had for him. Well, on the positive side, J-Rock, I don't think Scott, and I brought this up earlier, that guy who's running against Scott McAfee is not going to quit. You know, he's not dropping out of the race. Scott McAfee's going to sit there on election night while they scalp him. And he's going to sit there while they're sawing off the top of his head. He's going to be like, but wait, I didn't disqualify Fani. Aren't I a team player? And he's going to realize, you got chumped. You got sold out like Adam Kinzinger. Because what did Adam Kinzinger do? He went along with the Democrats and they redistricted his seat. And he lost it because it disappeared. You know, they sent a hatchet man after you and you tried to break bread with him, Scott. And now you're not going to be a judge probably come fall. So, bravo. You played yourself, homie. You've been a judge for what now? A year and a half? Great job. You probably won't get that again. So, yes, congratulations. Bravo. I'm sure your kids are going to be like, wow, Dad. That was brilliant work. Why don't you just do the right thing, Dad? So, yeah, this is just garbage. Now, Fani did post a letter, and I accidentally canceled it. Sorry, earlier. I'm trying to figure out where did I put it. She sent a letter out, published it, saying, well, thank you, Mr. Wade. We love you. You're a good man. You done trying real hard. So, and the great thing is this all comes out on the same day that Fani, it appears, was involved dealing with the January 6th committee, and they deleted their information exchanges, which is totally what people do. It's totally what people do. Now, Fani did release a letter on her own, but before we get there, what happens from here? Well, there are a couple of options. They can appeal it. Both sides have the right to appeal this. Will they? I don't know. I don't know. Is Fani going to appeal this? Do you really want to risk this? I mean, do you really want to risk this court saying, actually, we think you're a bad guy and you're gone? I don't think so. Fani got what she needed. She survived. I mean, she took a couple of hits here. More importantly, I'd argue that hit she took yesterday or on Wednesday with the dismissal of those counts was a big blow. And really the bigger blow right now is she's going to need another special prosecutor. So she's going to be hurting a little bit. It's not fatal, though. She is not mortally wounded in any sense. These weren't good hits, though. Now, what does that mean? Well, can Trump and them appeal? Yes, they can appeal. They can seek an appeal with the appellate courts. Andrew Fleischman, like I said, guys, I know he's on Law Twitter, and he's a lefty, but he does a really good job. He gives a lot of good takes. I don't agree with all of his takes, but, you know, overall his takes are pretty good. He pointed out, how does this work in Georgia? They have about 10 days to seek that they want to do that. Then they have about 10 more days to put together an appeal brief. And then it's not guaranteed they'll get it. But you try anyway. So I could see them doing it. But I also could see them saying, yeah, this is good enough. What happens from there? Well, I mean, Fani's going to have to decide if she'll move on with those other charges that got dismissed and reindict those, which means she has to reindict everything and rerun the grand jury, which is going to take months. She's also going to get a new special prosecutor. That's going to take a little while. And given how this case has gone so far, I don't know who she's going to find. Remember, she tried to find, like, this Governor Barnes guy, and he's like, fuck you, I ain't doing it. So who's she going to find? I don't know. I don't know who she's going to find. Is it probably some, like, fucking dingbat? Yeah. And that might be an issue for Trump and the gang. Like, they're getting rid of the devil they know for, better the devil you know. So who knows there? So, yes, they do have the right to appeal. I just don't know where that's going to go from there. Young, you asked this question right at the beginning, and I want to get to this, and I hope you're still here. So, I hope you're still here because I want to answer this. So the appeals thing, yeah, they've got over the weekend to figure out what they're doing here. Oh, somebody's saying bring Terrence in there. Yes. Well, also the other thing about Nathan Wade, I'm sure remember, guys, now he's finally done. He's going to submit a final bill. So we're going to find out how much they actually paid. I bet he's walked away from this with probably like $1.2, $1.3 million. So, yeah, he eating good. Which, yeah. Oh, Fanny, please bring in Andrew Weissman. No, that would actually be really bad because Weissman's somewhat competent. Mega Monster says this could go up to the Georgia Supreme Court, right? Theoretically, it could. But here's the issue. I think they have some discretionary appeal capability at the intermediate level, the Court of Appeals. And if they lose there or get denied, they could go to the Georgia Supreme Court, but I don't think the Georgia Supreme Court's going to get involved. And I don't think the Court of Appeals is going to overturn this. Remember, this is an evidentiary ruling. So courts are generally going to start from the premise that this judge made a fair ruling. And as much as I hate it, and McAfee being a cowardly little bitch, yeah, his ruling supported by his findings. Lead attorney says Wade about to get wrecked in the divorce. Oh, I guarantee you he's fucked. Yeah, he's toast. He's toast. He got that nut and that bag. Yeah. So could this go up there? Yeah, it could. It could. But I'm not sure I'm not sure where it's going to go. I'm not sure where it's going to go. It'll go to Fanny's next boyfriend. Or maybe she circles back to Deuce, the DJ. And he'll be taking over. They'll be like, the prosecutor Jazzy Jeff. But Young, I wanted to ask this. Is this a fail for Ashley? No, I mean, she put together a phenomenal case. Like, the advocacy she performed is phenomenal. And I hope she hears this when I say this. That was so fucking impressive. I am embarrassed as a defense attorney that I've never had that, I hope to God it, doing that kind of level of work. Like that is something that myself and most attorneys would ever do. Or have that skill to put it all together like that. That's just, I stand there acknowledging she is definitely one of the best. She's more than my better. That is truly skilled work that she did. So no, I don't think it was a fail. She did what she could. She left it all. Ashley Merkant, her husband, Sadow, all those guys, they left it all out on the fucking field. They did a phenomenal job. I mean, Fanny got lit on fire. And, speaking of clients, if somebody wants to see, hey, come here, bud.
Go on.
Come here.
Daddy.
Come on, Nickelbot.
Where's the daddy?
Okay. Hi. So, I mean, like, it's kind of like when you read those... Oh, he's got water all over him. So it's like when you read these narratives about World War II, like, they attacked Fanny and left her a burning Hulk. But Fanny got damage control. She's not sinking. She's just on fire. And they can fix that. And she can get repaired and she's back in the fight. So, yes, Fanny's on fire, but she's going to get put out. If you can hear...
Did you get through all of the...
I'm working on all of it.
Okay, because Ashley also did like a shit ton of members.
I did that, yeah.
Okay, I wasn't sure.
Yeah, sorry. Yes, sorry. She's just checking in on me. Brandon says this title is an odor of mendacity with a large-sided clickbait. As a streamer, I resent that remark, sir. And I also resemble it. So, but no, they did everything they could. Is it a fail though? I mean, they went all out. They went for the kill shot. It just didn't work. But she got knocked down a peg. But is it really a win because we know who she is now? Yeah, I'd argue that too. But remember now, from having watched this and from having watched the Young Thug trial, so what do we know about Nathan Wade? He was a blithering idiot. What do you know about Fani? She might be smart, but she is very egotistical, and people like to make fun of Trump for not being able to stay calm and handle his shit. Fani's a fucking a shorter fuse than he is. Fani appears doesn't take much to send her off the fucking rails. I mean, for as egotistical as Trump is, Trump has like the money and power to back up his ego. Fani doesn't. Fani's got a large ego and problems with that, and she's only got her little fiefdom, this little fiefdom in the prosecutor's office. Yeah, she may be the DA of Hotlanta, but that don't mean shit in the world, really. I mean, of the power players, she's got like a chip she's got like one poker chip she can throw in. Trump's standing there with stacks on deck. So, I mean, we're seeing and we're seeing their office in general. I mean, that was Fani's heavy hitter squad in there helping her. And the Young Thug trial is Fani's A team. And if this is the best they got, holy shit. This is not looking good for them. I mean, the enemy has showed you their capabilities throughout this. And it's not impressive, which is a good thing. So, Brandon says she's the perfect woman to fuck this job up. I wouldn't trust her to make me a sandwich. So, as I said, guys, there's some wins, but we didn't get the knockout. Fani BTFO'd in more ways than one. Yeah, she took some hits. I don't disagree with you guys there. If Sean didn't answer, Phil Holloway explained it earlier this morning. Yeah, I know Phil was talking about it first thing in the morning. But yeah, there's only so much that can happen right now. James says, she'll be forced back to counter your state committees for more financing at some point. Yeah, she will be. And that's something she's going to have to deal with at the end of the day, but that's down the road. And, I mean, given how the county is so far, they bucked, they didn't want to, the county's going to do whatever she wants. Fani lost nothing. I mean, she took a massive hit to her ego. For someone like Fani, that's a really big deal. So, yeah, but overall, she's still in the fight. Katie says, you're a practicing lawyer. Chad forgives you. Well, thank you. Catherine says, when Trump is elected, what happens to these cases? Well, nothing. Nothing's going to happen to him. He can't pardon himself out of these. And in Georgia, the pardon power does not exist with the governor. So Brian Kemp, that weaselly little fuck that he is anyway, let's say he wanted to pardon Trump. In Georgia, pardons come through a pardon board. And they make the recommendation. They're appointed by the governor and by people to exercise the pardon power. So by Georgia law, they have to make the recommendation. And they're not going to give it to him. So Trump has got to either win or get a dismissal. Otherwise, there's, But then again, if Trump gets into office, we then run into the issue of, well, we can't really prosecute him while he's in office or have him under suit while he's in office. We're going to have to wait till he gets done. So the case gets on hold for a couple of years. And while that case is on hold for a couple of years, yeah, you're hoping things fall apart. And that's probably how that's going to resolve if I'm guessing and more importantly hoping against hope, really. So can you speak to what shit law this makes for future corrupt prosecutors? Well, I mean, it's not really a threat in Georgia. It's like, well, we can. It's not really a deterrent. It's not a deterrent. I'm sure shitbag prosecutors are looking at this. They're like, I can live with that. That's for most of these people, even for Fani, that was worth doing all of that. And all the fighting and all the shit going on out there was 100% worth it. 100% worth it. So, Deshaun just literally, I hope she sees this. Yeah. If she sees it, I just want her to know she did a great job. I was truly impressed. So yeah, Wade got pegged. Yes, he did. Kemp signed the prosecutor oversight bill into law today. Well, that's very apropos, timing-wise. So, Jacob Turnbow says, I would pay to see her cross-examine Trump. Well, that'd be fucking two retards squaring off with each other. That would be retard jousting of the highest order. Fani versus Trump. Forbidden Ruin says, if that's the best she's got, that's sad. You mean for Ashley? Or if this is the best that Fani's got? Yeah, this is the best. We saw Fani at her best. Right there. So. But yeah, this was not impressed. The judge punted, and he had, you guys, I don't joke when I say that, but it's like, welcome back to the stage of history. Sing. For the Soul Caliber. He had his chance. He had his chance to stand up there and pull his fucking balls out. And, no, he just tucked them back in and sat down. Let's go. Brandon says she's going to be big, man, when she sees you rob the viewers of more Clyde time. For $9.99. Thank you, Brandon. Well, yes. Yes. Thank you, Brandon. And then this was released by Fani today. So Fani. Fani. March 15th, 2024. Well, it's like I said, we're going to do Robert Gavea style with the red pen chat. Dear Mr. Wade, I received your resignation letter dated today, and I accept it effective immediately. I compliment... Kind of makes you think these were already pre-written. They were maybe anticipating this option. I compliment you for the professionalism, dignity you have shown over the last 865 days of eating my ass. As you have endured threats against you and your family, as well as unjustified attacks in the media and the court on your reputation as a lawyer. No, I'm pretty sure those were 100% justified there, Fani. 100% fucking justified. Like, let's be real, they were pretty much justified. You guys are a bunch of scumbags. I will always remember and remind everyone you were brave enough to step forward to take on the investigation and prosecution of the allegations that the defendants in this case engaged in a conspiracy to overturn Georgia's 2020 presidential election. Others who were considered were understandably concerned for their safety themselves and their families that would arise from their acceptance of your role. You were the one who had the courage to accept the role. You were the one who had the courage to sleep with me in bed, is what she's saying. Because only God knows what you look like in bed, Fani. You are an outstanding advocate. Citation needed. In 865 days you served on this case, you completed a thorough investigation that required the use of a special purpose grand jury to compel the testimony of witnesses inside and outside of Georgia, including litigating in 8 states, the District of Columbia, and the U.S. Supreme Court to obtain critical testimony. What did they get from the U.S. Supreme Court? What did they get from there? Now we're just bullshitting. Okay, funny. You led a team that secured a true bill of indictment against 19 individuals who were accused of violating Georgia law to undermine the 2020 election. You successfully litigated in the district court and the Court of Appeals for the 11th Circuit to ensure Fulton County citizens will be the jurors who decide the justice in this case. Please accept my sincere gratitude on behalf of the citizens of Fulton County, Georgia, for your patriotism, courage, and dedication to justice. I don't think you know what those mean, sweetheart. I wish you the best in your future endeavors. Please eat my ass tonight while we're hanging out. Signed, yours in service. Does that mean she's a servant? Why? What? Like, so does that mean she's like his slave? Like she's a servant to a black man? I don't know. Yours in service, Fani Willis, District Attorney, Atlanta Judicial Circuit. P.S. Submit your bill for ever how much it is, and I'll fucking sign off on it. Like I said, he's gonna drop a big old fucking bill, I bet. Big old fucking bill. Yes. It took a lot of patriotism for him to tap that ass, yeah. Yeah. So. She couldn't get a date until she became DA, yeah. Dio Owen is saying, why would you say, as you're reading that, what she would look like in bed? You made me throw up. Well, the effect had it had its desired effect. James PFE says, and thanks for helping me getting reelected, by the way. Yes. Wade violated Georgia law with adultery. Yeah, but I think laws against adultery are kind of bullshit, so probably not. I don't think that should have been done that way. Although, you know what? Let's put the RICO together and use it as a predicate. Jury says Wade's going to bill for his time on the stand. Not going to lie, I'd be doing that too. If, like, you're making me testify, oh, hell yeah, I'm testifying. Everything he did, I'm sure he spent, like, after the hearings, I worked 24-hour days, Honest Engine, everybody. Honest Engine, I swear. I worked 24-hour days every day afterwards getting ready for trial. Oh, lordy me. I guarantee he did it. Brandon says she stole that from Frogman. Yes. Oh, so it'll be very interesting to see what they do there. Mithra King says, where's the except for state crimes in the impeachment clause? Under the idea that he's only got power to pardon for federal offenses. He's the president. He only has power over federal offenses. I mean, I'm not even being a smart ass. That's just separation of powers stuff. You know, the president can't because if the president could pardon me for a state level crime, let's just say he could. Like, hypothetically, I go out and rob a bank. I get charged with robbery here in Ohio, and I get convicted. And President Trump calls up the phone. It's like, you know, tells Governor DeWine here and says, listen, Sean's my boy. He's always had my back on his podcast. Every night on the streams. Love him to death. Best attorney out there, robbing banks. I'm pardoning him. You can't stop me. If he could do that, then basically he's the governor. He's a super governor. I mean, because if he can pardon me, well, I mean, so he's there to faithfully execute the laws, the laws of the United States. Well, at that point, you could argue, well, the laws of Ohio too. So does that mean the Ohio legislature passes a law, the House and the Senate pass a law, they approve of it, they vote it in, and Governor DeWine says no, veto? Could Trump come in and say, booyah, and pull his dick out? And DeWine puts his dick on the table and says no. And then Trump pulls his fucking hog out and goes like, thwack. Yes. I got the bigger dick, Mike DeWine. I win, Mike DeWine. Like, otherwise, he would have that ability. He would become a super governor effectively. And he could override the governor's decisions on many a thing. And that's not what we want. That's not how that would have been intended. The president's authority only extends over federal matters. I mean, you've got a I think you've got a clear 9th and 10th Amendment issue there that whatever's not listed is not granted to the Constitution. It's not listed for him to have power over the states like that. I would make that argument. I understand what you're saying. I think it's great. But I mean, let's just pull up Article 2. So let's pull up Article 2, Section 2. So here's the thing, though, and this is an argument I also would make as well. And he shall have, and this is Article 2, Section 2, okay? So it's talking about the president being commander-in-chief of the militia, the Navy, yada, 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 yada. Okay. So he shall have the power to grant reprieves and pardons for offenses against the United States. So I get what you're saying. Well, the United States includes Georgia. But that's not what the United States really means. It's offenses against the United States, meaning federal crimes. So I think at the end of the day, that becomes well, how does that work? And I think that it only works one way. So I think that's the only way it works. Honestly. And like I said, I'm not trying to be a smart ass. I just don't think that it would work that way is what what you're thinking it would do there. So wait, that didn't switch over, did it? All right. Hold on. Sorry, chat. So here's Article 2, Section 2. He's commander of the Army and Navy. He has the power to grant reprieves and pardons for all offenses against the United States. That's the United States, not Ohio. Not Georgia, not wherever. So, Juror 13 says, and I guess, can we hold on to this for a second? Because I want to finish the rest of the thing. So, can you hang on for a second, Juror? We're going to get to that. Let's get to something here because I want to finish the order up. Because I do think it's important to finish this because he does talk about some stuff. There are some spots in this. There are still some things we need to cover. So forensic misconduct. The Georgia Supreme Court also recognized the forensic misconduct or improper comment by the state as grounds for disqualification. One example is expression of the prosecuting attorney of the defendant's, guilt and personal belief. Okay, well, so they go into all of this that a trial court should take into consideration whether such remarks were part of a calculated plan designed to prejudice the defendant in the minds of jurors, and whether they were inadvertent utterances. Okay, well, the issue though, and they point out, this court is not located nor is provided with a single case exploring the relevant standard for forensic misconduct, well, because there's not a lot of it. Generally, prosecutors are pretty housebroken when it comes to this stuff. Nor it is clear whether the analysis differs depending on the pretrial posture of a case. Is it pre-indictment, indictment stage, pretrial, trial? There would presumably be different standards, but we don't know. We don't know in Georgia. So saying unmoored from precedent, the court feels confined to the boundaries of Williams and restricts its application to the limited holding. The defendants have exhaustively documented every comment made by Fani. Many of these have been addressed through a pretrial challenge made on similar grounds brought by Trump already. And this was a motion to quash, preclude, and recuse that happened way back in July. This court incorporates and adopts the sound reasoning of Judge McBurney, who was the previous judge on this. It says any comments made prior to July 31st did not amount to disqualifying forensic conduct. Similarly, more recent comments describing charges in the indictment, the procedural posture of the case, the officer's conviction rates, and personal behind-the-scenes anecdotes are not disqualifying. This includes the unorthodox decision for on-the-record comments, authorizing her staff members to do likewise, an author's intent on publishing a book about the special grand jury's investigation during the pendency of this case. Such decisions may have prejudicial effects yet to be realized, but they don't rise to the level of disqualification yet. Now notice, he's saying it's unorthodox. He says all these things because he doesn't want to come out and say this is wrong. Because McAfee is a coward. But he can't say they're okay. He has to say, like, he's trying to say, look, guys, Fani, look, I'm trying to protect you, but I got to say something bad about you. Like, I can't turn my back, like, I have to turn my back on you, but I got to say something about this. If I don't, there's going to be people, suspicion will then be cast upon me. So I have to say something unbetoward to you. The same cannot be said as her prepared speech delivered before the local church in Hotlanta in January. At the black church, where she said the raising up of the Lord will protect her. God knows who I am, and God will protect me. Whatever, I forget what else she says. And so many others questioned whether her decision to hire Wade. When referring to her detractors throughout the speech, she frequently utilized the plural they. The state argues the speech was not aimed at any of the defendants. Maybe so, but maybe not. Therein lies the danger of public comments by a prosecuting attorney, including a reference to so many others on the heels of a motion filed by a defendant which instigated the controversy. She left that question open for the public to consider. And the court finds, after considering the statement as a whole, all the circumstances surrounding its issuance, that she did include the defendant, whether intentional or not. More at issue, instead of attributing criticism to an accused general aversion to being convicted and facing a sentence, she described the effort as motivated by playing the race card and frequently referred to Wade as the black man, while their unchallenged special attorneys were labeled one white woman and one white man. This effect was to cast racial aspersions at the defense's decision to file the motion. Even though it didn't identify any defendant by name, it also did not address the merits of the offenses, nor did it disclose sensitive or confidential evidence. And the case is too far removed from jury selection to establish a taint of the pool. As it best can divine under the sole discretion of Williams, the court cannot find the speech cross the line to the point where the defendants have been denied the opportunity for a fundamentally fair trial or that it requires disqualification. But it was still legally improper. This type of comment creates dangerous waters for a DA. Time may well have arrived, and the time may well have arrived for an order preventing the state from mentioning the case in any public forum to prevent judicial pretrial publicity. That's McAfee saying, I'll sign a gag order if you give it to me. Which is funny. He pushed out on all this other stuff, but now he's saying, well, if you guys send me something, I'll talk about it and I'll sign it, but I'm not going to go all the way where you want me to go, but I'll kick her while she's down on the ground. But I'm not going to bash her brains in with a bat. Like a true coward. Like I said, Fani is going to be uncontrollable compared to Trump. I bet Sadow's got Trump's mouth on fucking lock when it comes to this case. Fani won't be controlled by anybody, and she'll fucking run her mouth. But that motion is not before the court, and that's the thing. The court can't grant something that hasn't been asked for. This is not a sua sponte issue. So the other grounds. They talk about the other grounds here, like the trustee clause, the Fulton County Code, payments and hiring violations of the law. He points out district attorneys can appoint private attorneys to assist with criminal cases, independent of authorization. The statute does not place limitations on a work on a specific case. And while Wade's contract did not limit his work, the testimony established as much, and the defense did not produce any evidence demonstrating his work ever expanded beyond this prosecution. Further, to the extent the defendants argue his loyalty oath created independent grounds for disqualification, the court incorporates its previous order on the subject and denies the motion. So apparently with Judge McBurney, they already decided this. So yeah, it had already been decided. We're not touching it. And Chesbro already made a motion to dismiss. Okay. As for the remaining arguments, the court has not been presented with any authority that such violations, even if proven, amount to an actual conflict of interest. Well, it's because this has never been tried before, Scott. You are the case of first impression. You are the trailblazer here. The world is before you, and you decide to sit there. So, he says, in each case applying the appearance standard, the impropriety was connected in some way to an allegation of potential and previously recognized actual conflict. In a separate motion, adopting the arguments for co-defendants, Lather presents additional theory. She asserts the right to call the DA as a witness at trial to examine her biases towards the defendants to demonstrate she bought a politically motivated prosecution. And then here he points out, actually reading the case and not the authority upon which it relies, and this is the attorney's doing a shitty job, and not just quoting a head note. And a head note's kind of like the basics of a case, and like this is what a lot of people do. They read head notes, not the case. So, yeah, this doesn't work here. And he points out it's the main witness for the state. So the main investigator would be that person. And they point out the Supreme Court's even said that even if you can prove it, that it's not a defense to a criminal charge on the merits. Selective prosecution must be brought in the form of a motion asking the court to exercise power on equal protection grounds. So that motion is denied. So, but he points out a reasonably unburdened bipartisan blinders should believe the law was impartially applied, and those accused of crimes had a fair chance to present their defenses. So, however, the appearance of impropriety remains and must be handled as previously outlined above. So it's granted in part and denied in part. And that's it. So we're done. Oh, wow. Everybody left after I got to the good part here. Damn, everybody left. Okay, so Bella says we have 50 mini countries, basically. Yeah. So here's getting back to this question. If a state can prosecute a president for acts of his office, that makes the state more powerful than the president. Not necessarily. I think we're to the point now where we're seeing that if a president, and Clinton had this issue, if he's got a case pending and all that, he can use his authority as president to get a stay on stuff while he's doing the country's work. While he's doing the business of America, he's allowed to get like a timeout on proceedings. And I'm betting the courts are going to look at that way for Trump and this other stuff here. Okay? So, because we'll see that. Now, what does that mean ultimately here? I mean, think about it. If he's the president and he comes in and, Trump's doing his door-to-door stuff, and he, let's say Joe Biden, we'll use Joe Biden instead. Joe Biden's walking along, doing his door-to-door thing, getting wheeled along by his handlers. And he stops. He's walking up the steps. And he wants to, he walks up to, he walks up to Nick Rekieta's house. Knocks on the door, and Nick comes out, and Joe's like, hey, I'm Joe Biden, running for president. Will you please vote for me? And he shakes Nick's hand. Nick's like, okay, cool, get the fuck off my property. If at that point Joe thinks he's dealing with an alien and Joe pulls out a knife and stabs Nick, and Nick's Baldo catches the blunt of the force, so Nick survives. Or let's just say Joe Biden's mean and tries to stab Nick. We'll use that, not the insanity issue. But Joe Biden tries to kill Nick, and Nick's Baldo absorbs the brunt of the force. Is he, why should the people of Minnesota not have the right to prosecute him? I think the issue here is to argue the president can be tried for crimes once they've been impeached and removed from office. So it's not that the president can't be tried at all. It's just the idea that, I mean, because I guess I look at it this way too. And I know I use this as an example, but it's a really good example. Charles I, the King of England, the king where we had the English Civil War. He was accused of a couple different crimes. And one of the big ones was waging war against the people. If you want to make the argument that Trump, if you're the president, you can do no wrong. Because at some point there has to be accountability. Well, who can prosecute him? Well, if you break the laws of the state of Minnesota, Minnesota should be able to prosecute him. Now, they may have to wait until his term is over to prosecute him. Or let's say Congress looks at that and they say, Joe Biden tried to stab a guy and they're horrified. And the world's laughing at us not only because Biden tried to kill somebody, but because they saw the Baldo flipping and flopping around on network television. They can impeach Biden and remove him from office, and then he gets prosecuted. I mean, at some point, he should be able to stand trial. Because the idea that if you're the president and everything you did during the time you were president is automatically immune, you almost get to like divine right of a king at that point. Because that means the sovereign could do no wrong. And I don't think that's appropriate. Because even with Charles I argued that when he was waging war against the population of Britain, you know, he was trying to argue, I have a divine right as a king. And Parliament said, we have popular sovereignty. Your rights exist because we give them to you. We endowed you with the belief that you are a god king. Not that you really are, because nobody believed that. Well, they ended up cutting Charles I. They ended up taking him outside in a fucking lot and cut his fucking head off with an axe. So I think that shows you who won that argument. But no, I don't think unless I'm understanding you wrong, which if I am, feel free to correct me and say, listen, dummy, this isn't right. D Cripple saying sorry for the caps. What? D Cripple saying here at the end, I guess. Hey, you're still here. We're still talking. Yeah, saying it dropped to 23 and went back up to 284. I was like, oh my God, you guys, they all think I suck. Oh no. Everyone left, take a hint, Sean. I can't notice. I'm too autistic to notice subtle social cues, as somebody once quoted. Jared 13 saying, I think SCOTUS will disagree with you. Nick Baldo is not inactive his office. Sure, but I guess my point is the court would say, okay, if he gets indicted and then he gets impeached and then removed, he can be prosecuted. But you're not immune from all acts you commit while in office. I don't think that's the intent that the framers were looking for when they did all this. So, let's go. Brandon for 199 says, Alexa, directions to Wolf's Den. James says, and did so as the nominal head of the Church of England. Yeah, well, there was a whole thing for that. Mithril King says, yeah, they need to impeach him first. They didn't impeach Trump for any of his Georgia shit. Well, I don't think they have to. Because I don't think they have to, ultimately. It's a separate entity. To argue that because I'm president, I am immune from your laws is not what we want. That makes him a fucking king. I mean, that really makes you a king. And I don't want a king running around. Because that means Biden could stand, like, the Secret Service, like, you kind of then get, like, yeah, that's like some Saddam Hussein level shit. I don't think you're immune from state laws at that point. So, Obscure Outdoor saying, gotta make my husband a drink. Still listening, though. Love y'all. Well, Amateur Iconoclast was like, we won. It was more like we won the war, so you were wrong. Well, I mean, yes, because this was entirely brand new. He basically got tried under a law that was made up on the spot. But that's sometimes how things happen. Like, it was kind of like it was basically a kangaroo court. Ultimately, when the special trial that happened for him, it was a unique trial. But it, was kind of one of those ones that set the course for history and Western governance. And like, I'm trying not to be political and philosophical here, but I do think there's a legal argument, but we also have to like look at the political philosophy behind that. I don't know. I don't know if that even made any sense, really. Let me know. Agreed, not all acts, but all acts of office are immune. Yeah, but then it comes down to what's an act for office. And I think I would argue trying to maintain your office is an act of office because literally everybody treats it that way. Every incumbent uses their fucking office to keep their office. Because otherwise they wouldn't be able to say, retain me for that job. They should just say, elect me for that job and all that. So, Mythical King says, no, I fucking explained why. You're just wrong. Well, maybe I'm wrong. I'm willing to be wrong. Yes, ironically, the founders developed this system when dueling was still a thing. There was a serious chance you'd get shot if you fucked around. Yes, very true. A Job Well Done says, was Uday the based one? Yeah, he was the based one, unlike the other one. Petty Cake says Bob Menendez cannot be charged with financial crimes while in office. Yeah, but he doesn't enjoy the same level of power that the president has. But yes, he's yeah. Bella's saying no one honest can say they weren't humiliated by January 6th. I mean, that's an argument to make. Yeah, Bob Menendez, Patty Cakes, is still in Congress. He still sits in the Senate. He's still the senator from New Jersey. He hasn't quit. He has not been removed. So, so I guess that's where I'm just looking at it. Was Uday the one who claimed the right of prima noctra? Yeah, I think well, Uday and Kusei both did that, but yes, I think Uday was the one who primarily did that more. Santos got tossed without being convicted, just charged. Yes, but that's the rules of the House, and the Supreme Court will never interfere with those. That's a separation of powers argument there. The House is free to govern itself internally how it does. Its internal rules and structure is not something the Supreme Court will ever touch on. So, but yes, he was expelled. Yes, because the Democrats didn't vote to expel him like the stupid Republicans did to Santos. Who is running again? Well, I don't think, I mean, I bet if it happened, they would do it. I bet if there was the Senate vote, they'd probably get rid of him. When do we charge the O bomber for drone striking American citizens in other countries? How about Biden's open border and the money it's surrounding the illegal aliens? Bribery and money laundering. Yeah. Oh, no. I mean, that's the thing. Yes. Anwar al-Awlaki and his family getting drone striked in fucking Yemen by Obama. Obama has killed a lot of U.S. citizens, but, they claim they got due process, and that was all they were entitled to. But yeah, there's a whole mess of this, guys. It's not, yeah. And Obama kind of governed like a king, ultimately, I think, when it looks back in hindsight. He got away with it. So, let me see here. Phone Funk says Ashley could have asked better questions, but her presence triggered Fani into spurging out in front of millions. Yeah, I mean, like, I mean, overall, I think she did a good job. J-Rock says this ruling cements Fulton and by extension Georgia as a laughing stock of the legal world. Yeah, I do feel bad for you guys there. Juror 13 says this isn't over for Fani. She still faces Georgia law violations by not reporting gifts over $100. I know, but nobody's gonna do anything about that. Like, there's gonna be no yeah, it is what it is there. And Harble Warble says, referring to McAfee, he chose to be bitch made. Yes, he did. J-Rock says we need to change our pardon process in Georgia. It's bullshit. Hey, I'll take your word for it. Job well done says it's federally insured money. Yes. Your money's insured by the federal government. You're not going to lose a dollar. Don't be a hero. Quote Neil McCauley. Peter Spiney is saying, so your right to vote on electors of the electoral college are found in your state constitution. Yeah, but even then, most states don't actually explicitly state you have the right to vote or how you vote. So there's all kinds of things that are done. We technically don't have the right to vote. The franchise is not necessarily guaranteed like you think it is. Duncan Idaho for $2 says pee pee poo poo. Poo poo? Gotta raise it up on the end there. Oh, let's see what else you guys are saying here. Let me catch up. Yeah, damn Judge Blueball just this doesn't change much. We did get cucked. It sucks. But there's, like I said, I know it's a little bit of cope here, but Fanny's a bit of a fucking idiot. So maybe this is, maybe this is what they, maybe this is what Trump needs. I don't know. Who really knows at this point? Because I don't know. I don't know personally, and there's just, there's no way to know. There's no way to know. I wish there was a better answer for us, but we don't have the chance. We don't have the knowledge yet. Fanny's dad was a Black Panther. McAfee might be protecting his family from a possible lunatic who had hurt his family due to her speech at the church, bringing race into it. I don't think so. He's just a bitch. There's nothing to fear. There is nothing to fear at all. McAfee just wasn't cut out for it. He was a little too high strung. He's not a guy you could rely on when the chips are down. Can't rely on him. Which is sad, but hey, you find out who you can rely on when it matters most. The sad part is that's how you have to do it. If only you could do it beforehand. That would be a lot better for everybody. Jerry says, well, then the devil really did go down to Georgia. What do you mean? I don't know which part of what I said you're referring to. Ag says, he seemed like at first a straight shooter, and now he's a cuck. Well, you should treat all these people like they're going to fuck you until they don't. I guess that's the only way to go. Like I said, you got to be careful because they all will at some point. So that's how I handle it. Tony Hugecock saying, be right back, going to steal $1 million. As long as I'm blue, it doesn't matter. Well, you might have red or pink. They have like a violet. Like a kind of like a pinkish violet dye too. Be careful, man. Charlie's saying the day she came into the courtroom, I think I knew nothing was going to happen. Some people thought that. I will say Ian Corzine, the guy who I was on Laid Back Law with, fucking nailed it. He called it exactly how it was going to break down. So, congrats, Ian. You got it on the money. So, Forbidden Ruin says Judge used to work for her, so he's on her side. People weren't blue-balled. They didn't do their research. Well, I don't think he was scared of her anymore, but I'm sure was hoping this would take some of the stress off him with his competitors, but I don't think he's going to realize, like, oh my gosh, wait, they're still attacking me. Why aren't they stopping Fani? And he's going to try to call her, and he's going to be like, Fani? Fani? And it's just going to be boom, boom, on the other end of the line. Like I said, as they saw his scalp off, he'll be like, wait, I'm one of the good guys. I'm one of the heckin' good guys. I helped. And they're like, you're not going anywhere. Catherine says, you get me an email with a link. Let me see here. Sweet Tooth, I know you sent one as well. I was reading through some of that. And did you send me an email with a link here? Hold on. Yes, I did see this. I have not had a chance to watch it yet. I know Grizzly is one of the more, well, she's on the side of sanity as far as the true crime people are concerned. So, that is the good thing about her. But yes, I did get it. Thank you for sending it. Two-tier justice system. Yep. Oh, yeah. Oh, it's always been a two-tier justice system. So, I don't remember either. That's fine. I don't remember either. That's all good. Showing my Black Panther sympathies. I don't know. Just like if they fucking come at you, fucking strap up, kids. Get yourself a tool. And then you get some street cred as a judge because you start stacking bodies like firewood. Nobody's gonna fuck with you after that. I mean, that'd be pretty gnarly. But you know the judge who did that? Oh, J-Rock saying in Georgia, you have to finish your sentence and wait 5 years before you can be pardoned. Damn, so the judge can't even do it proactively. That's fucking awful. That's horrible. It's meant to be an offer of mercy and leniency. Can he commute sentences on his own or no? Because, God, that's fucking horrible. Juror 13 says, always in cash, never write anything down, keep no receipts. And that's what Fani did, and that's why you do that. Always in cash, never in writing. And guess what? You get to walk. Yes, this number is no longer in service. Yes. Fani gonna be, we're black. Yeah, she's gonna be like Tiffany. Her and Tiffany, they're gonna be on together. We black. Y'all black. So he's gonna be left on red. Yep. Ian Smart is smart, but not as funny to watch and listen as you are. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Fair Frozen 55 saying, no, Sean, the sound of Fanny's line will be plap, 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 plap. That's the sound of what's going to happen in his career. You mean like this sound? Yeah, it's just him getting fucked. Charlie said, I sent you a pretty good Dear Penthouse. You should read it on air. You did? Did you send? You really did? Are you joking? I don't see anything from you there. But yes, Juror 13, I saw your thing there, and I need to reach out to you anyway, because I need to talk to you about something coming up for plans. Yes, George Santos is rerunning, yes. And that'll be hilarious. Why not? Keep going until something happens. Why not? So. Oh, so he doesn't control clemencies either. Fuck. Judge can suspend a sentence. Well, yeah, but damn, your governor got cucked by your governor got cucked by Reconstruction. So Ag saying, we had a home IED expert arrested today by the FBI in Louisiana. We're thinking he's running a meth lab. Okay. Also, found out today that David Duke was from Louisiana. Well, at least you learned something today. That's always important. Learn stuff. Learn. Knowledge is good. It's like it's an Animal House, the statue of that guy. Knowledge is good. I can say the Georgia governor's position basically is the biggest cuck. That's not the only place like that. I think there's a couple states that way. There's a couple of states where the governor does not have pardon power like that. It's not only Georgia. So, which is really sad, but that's how some places have addressed the issue. I mean, I think even yeah, I think even in Texas they don't have that. The governor has that power to give a full pardon. Yeah. Most southern states got fucked because they were limiting the power of their governors because of Reconstruction. We're like, well, we just got done doing all this shit. So yes, most southern states, I think some northern states may have that issue, but it wasn't like it's a different thing. Like they had a corruption problem, so. But yes, the southern states, that's why like all the southern states have weird gun laws for a long time. Duke versus corrupt Mike Edwards was a governor's race here in Louisiana at one point. I want a corrupt Edwards bumper sticker. Yeah, no, it was really a race. Yep, it was really a race. Bill saying was Tiffany Hedren arrested. Does not sound like it. Does not sound like it. So she's going to celebrate St. Patrick's Day on her own. Yes. So, So you guys got any other questions here? So yeah, ultimately, this plus all the other stuff, I think helps Trump the most. And yeah, they'll be able to delay this and cause problems for Fani, but once again, how long is this going to set her back? Probably not too long, but long enough. So what are we talking turtles in the news on Turtle Boy? Oh, God, I know. We got to do Karen Reed this weekend at some point. Oh, my God. Somebody sent me a link to something we'll watch. So, Pike says everybody's Irish on St. Patrick's Day. No, they're not. They're not. It's somebody with an Irish name. Sean Patrick Martin. No. Y'all don't get my day. Y'all don't get my day. So, Dana McCoy says the bar won't investigate her. Probably not. I don't see it happening. If they do, it's going to be a long time down the road. So, no. The bar is very political too. Or whatever regulatory group that's going to have some politics involved. And the problem is Georgia has a lot of corruption. And there's a lot of corruption in a lot of states, but in particularly Georgia has a big corruption issue right now. I mean, they've had it too, but in the Atlanta area, I mean, yeah, she's probably going to be okay. Christopher is saying St. Patrick's Day is my birthday. That's a nice birthday to have. It's a nice birthday to have. So, that's a nice birthday to have. A stronger case than against Wade, possibly? I mean, I'd like to say so, but they're not going to go after him either. And I'm not trying to doom repeal you. I'm not trying to make you feel bad. I don't... Just... These people will escape man's justice. Sadly, that's how this is going to go for now. They are not going to get referred to the bar. It's just not happening. And I'm not trying to, trick you or make you feel like shit. It's what's going to happen. So, Dana says the checks went to his IOLTA account. Yes, but if they went in and he immediately took them out, that's actually not a problem. As long as you aren't just keeping money in there, you're allowed to have stuff went in your IOLTA. Okay, you pull it out. So, I'm a realist. Well, first things first, I'm the realist. To quote Iggy Azalea. So, McAfee even gave them a 2-week head start. Yeah, well. I'm administering the doom suppositories. Yeah, just right up in there. It's like with the cows when they inseminate the cows. Just like whole handed, just like all the way in there. Just placing up inside you. Make you sit a little weird, but you'll be okay. She wasn't prepared for lessons in physics. Yeah, I know. I held her down like I give lessons in physics. So, okay, I just got here. Can you start all over? Sure. All right, guys. Well, I guess. Hold on. How did I do with my start? Oh, hello, everybody. Hi. How are you guys doing? So, all right, guys. That's it for right now. I know Jeff is starting up his Fuck It Friday stream coming. What time is he? What time is Jeff coming? It's going to be like 8 o'clock, I think. And I'm going to, let's see here. See where you guys can go right now, because there's some stuff you guys probably want to do. No Mr. Bedecker on tonight, I can tell you that much. So we do have stuff to talk about. We've got, oh God, what do we got up here to talk about tonight? We've got the Riley Gaines lawsuit. We've got what's going on with, there's some more Richard Allen stuff. We have Alec Baldwin's motion to dismiss, which that's going to be a massive haul in of itself to chug through. I mean, we got stuff to get through this weekend, chat. We got stuff. We might go, I'm thinking like a little later on tonight, probably like 11:30 or so. I'll go live. We'll do a show. We can talk about what happened in St. Louis. Being arrested in the fight. Got some, well, obviously just kind of mentioned Fani because people might not be aware during the day. And got some other things we'll be able to talk about and touch on. Some things we didn't get to last night. Deadspin's biting the dust and a couple other things we'll take a look at. And yeah, we'll do that about 11:30 tonight. That would be the plan, and I will see you guys then. Stay up late and talk about girls. Yeah. Hunley has Freeform Friday on right now. You know what? Let's see here. What do we got right now? I don't know who he's got on Freeform Friday. Let's see here. Oh, America's Untold Stories. That's why. Let's see, what do we got here? Oh, there's Freeform Friday. Yeah, I'll set you guys to that if you guys want to stop in there. You guys haven't been there before. It's, privilege is needed. They don't let me do it. So, we'll have to figure something else out. So, guys, that is, let me see here. What else for you guys? The Riley Gaines is kind of cute, even if people don't think so. Well, that's, yes, the Fed is home. Yes, well, she's always home. She works from home. So, yeah, guys, there's a limit on what I could do because they don't have access granted. So, I'll just send you preemptively over to Jeff's. And if you guys want to go somewhere else, you can go from there. But until then, guys, tonight, 11:30, we will do another show. We'll talk and we'll have some fun. We'll have some live, laugh, love, and cry. We'll dance while no one's watching, and we'll sing while no one's listening. So, I will see you guys later tonight, chat. Take care. Bye.